What we see now is the wall of Salvador Novo's old house. Unfortunately, in 1997 the house was demolished, despite the demands of the neighbors to preserve it for its cultural value. Only this singular wall remains, where there's a plaque commemorating the poet who lived there from 1943 until his death in 1974. Salvador Novo is one of the central figures of 20th century literature and culture in Mexico.
Indagaciones arqueológicas me han persuadido de que en mi niñez manifesté ciertos rasgos que después se transformarían acaso en estereotipos de mi conducta.
He was born in 1904 in Mexico City and spent his childhood in Torreon, and he returned to the capital at the age of 12. While studying at the National Preparatory School, he met Jaime Torres Bodet and Xavier Vallarrutia, with whom he shared a taste for literature, and especially poetry. When he entered the Faculty of Letters and Philosophy, he specialized in English literature, becoming a great translator. In 1927, he founded the theater company Ulysses, and a year later, with his old high school friends and other writers, he formed the group Los Contemporáneos, or the Contemporaries, who would give a modern vision and stylistic rupture to Mexican literature. In his case, he knew how to adapt popular speech, including some popular Mexican wordplays, to his literary work. Novo stood out as a poet, playwright, and chronicler, and displayed his wit, intelligence, and an acid sense of humor that was especially provocative for the conservative Mexican society of the mid-20th century. In what was his home since 1941, he wrote most of his works, among which the brief history of Coyoacán, the history of Mexican gastronomy, the different volumes of Life in Mexico, and one of his masterpieces, The New Mexican Greatness, a description of Mexico City at the beginning of the 20th century, stand out. He also left an autobiography entitled The Salt Statue. His love for both his city and Coyoacán would be reflected in hundreds of chronicles, interviews, and several books, such as his appointment as official chronicler of the city in 1965. Also in Coyoacán, he wrote his best-known plays, La Calta Dama, a comedy that criticizes the Mexican upper class, and The 8 Columns, a play that criticizes political corruption. In 1950, he acquired a property on Madrid Street in Del Carmen, Coyoacán, where he built his own theater and cultural project under the name of La Capilla. This is a reference to this day for theatrical genres, such as political satire, comedy, and cabaret. His love for literature and the city was matched only by his devotion to cooking. Novo bequeathed several stories and chronicles dedicated to Mexican cuisine, and not only that, but also some famous recipes. From his ingenuity and exquisite taste were born delicacies such as spaghetti and cutlacoche sauce, Maria Candelaria soup, made with squash blossom and poblano chili, red snapper and chipotle sauce, beef in mint or cashew mousse. All his gastronomic ingenuity expanded in the dining room of his house and in the small restaurant of the theater La Capilla called El Refectorio, which roughly translates to the dining hall. Salvador Novo's genius was extinguished on January 13, 1974, but not his many legacies, which are commemorated by naming the street on the corner after him.